life became a surveillance grid nightmare, with every individual's actions ruthlessly catalogued and recorded by the state. Secret arrests, checkpoints, and warrantless searches spread. The final incremental march of the police state, culminating in open martial law. This is the story of how the elites sold their people into slavery and scared the once proud and brave people of the West into submitting to being cannon fodder in wars for world domination.
September 11th. September 11th, men armed with knives, armed with chemical, biological, or even nuclear weapons. The fanatics who terrorists, killers, September 11th, terrorists of Al-Qaeda, terrorists, Taliban, nuclear weapons, terrorists. 9/11 terror. My fellow Americans, we have already been attacked. Terrorist, evil.
September 11th, in those days after the towers fell.
September 11th. September 11th, ground zero. And suddenly the streets were full of sirens and there was fire in the sky. Terrorism, September 11th. Osama bin Laden declared war in America. September 11th, terrorists, a walking, talking weapon of mass destruction.
Barbaric terrorists, terrorists for terrorism. September 11th, September 11th. The terrorists, war and danger. September 11th, September 11th, terrorism. Global terrorism, the horror. Terrorism, terrorists. Terrorists, 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 the terrorists. Terrorists, terrorist terrorism. September 11th, global terrorism, terrorism. Terrorism. September 11th, world terrorism, terrorism. Terrorism, 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 terrorism. September 11th, threat of global terrorism, terrorism, terrorist, global terrorism, terrorism, terrorism. September 11th, 2001, global terrorism. Terrorists, global terrorism, terrorism, terrorists, September 11th, terror.
Terrorism, the attack on our homeland, back from the attack on our economy, and back from the attack on our way of life. Terrorists, hate. We must be fierce and relentless and terminate terrorism. Terrorists, you defeat them. It yearns to destroy not just the individual, but the entire international order. That's why America is safer with George W. Bush as president.
September 11th, terrorism, September 11th. Terrorism, terrorists, September 11th.
Terror, terrorists.
Terrorist,
Terror, September 11th. Threat, tyranny, terrorist, tyranny, tyranny. People hate us. Terror.
Terrorism. September the 11th, terror, terrorist, terror, terrorist, terror. Weapons of mass destruction. September the 11th. September the 11th. Terrorists. Terrorists. The evil terrorists. Terrorists. The terrorists know.
The terrorists know.
There have been other cryptic statements. The outgoing head of CENTCOM, General Tommy Franks, told Cigar Aficionado that if America is attacked by terrorists again, we'll have to suspend the Constitution in favor of a military form of government or martial law. It's abhorrent to American values to have the military involved in any way in civilian life, especially in law enforcement. It's been a staple of communist China and Nazi Germany.